G'day, I'm Graeme. I'm the manager of the Ipswich store, 246 Warwick Road, Churchill. Today I'm going to be doing a Belgian Dubbel. The recipes are on our website and are free to download. So Belgian Dubbel starts off, I'm doing it with a fresh wort, a lager pilsner fresh wort. It includes 1 kilo of light dried malt, 500 grams of Belgian candy syrup, 15 grams of Saaz hops, yeast, a Belgian Abbey yeast nutrient, and I'm going to use a wort flock to actually take out a lot of the sediment and everything that occurs while you're brewing. So first things first, the grain pack. I'll just get rid of that. Alright, grain pack. You just use your little hop sock at any time. Just a light knot. Open up your grain pack. The only difference I'm making to this recipe is that instead of using 250 grams of special B grain, I'm actually using the Belgian grain pack, which has 100 grams of special B and 100 grams of carapils, and that's mainly because I like the taste of carapils in my beer. So, in your hop sock, and try not to lose any of the powder that comes out of this, because it's the powder that actually transforms into a fermentable and gives it special taste. So, 1 grain pack. Use a litre of hot water, not boiling. I should have started this a while back. So a litre to a litre and a half of hot water. They're starting to get hot now. And what we're going to do is just steep the grain for around about 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, now we've got 20 to 25 minutes, so we'll stop just there for a second and we'll come back. While we're waiting for the grain to finish steeping, I'm just adding 4 litres of the fresh wort. I'm going to heat that up and I'm going to be adding the grain to this once we're finished. Okay. Okay, well, the grain has been steeping now for around about 30 minutes. So what we're going to do now is actually collect that liquid, give it a clean. What I usually do is just use a colander like that, or things. Around about a half a litre to a litre of hot water again to take the flavour out. That's just to rinse the grains. Don't try to squeeze the grains too much, because you don't want the tannins coming out of the husks of the grain itself. So just use a bit of gravity to do it. Then you can discard the grain. Alright, okay, we've added the liquid from the grain into the pot here. What we're going to do now is add in the light dried malt. That a good stir, make sure that all dissolves. Now I'm going to bring this to a boil, and once it starts boiling I'll then take it down to a simmer, add the hops and simmer the hops for around about 60 minutes. But before that I've still got to add the 500 grams of Belgian candy syrup, which I'll actually stick into some hot water to make it easier to pour out. And when that happens, I will get back to you. Okay, it's practically close to the boil. We're about to add the 500 grams of Belgian candy syrup, which is very, very sweet syrup. Tastes yummy. This is what actually gives the Belgian Dubbel its flavour. And as you can see, it's pretty thick. It's definitely worthwhile putting it into hot water to get it all out. Add the rest of it. Alright, now that it's at the boil, I've already measured out 15 grams of Saaz hops. Right, what we're going to do there is going to add this, bring this back to the boil, seeing I've just added some cooler liquid, bring it back to the boil and simmer for around about an hour. Okay? And we'll go from there. And 10 minutes before the end of the boil, I'll be adding what they call a wort tablet. What that does is it drops all of the sediment and everything that's still in the wort. It will drop it to the bottom and make certain you end up with a clearer wort for when you either bottle or keg. But that's 50 minutes from now, so we'll see you later. Okay, well, as you can see, it's now at the boil. You can tell that the hops are actually starting to fall apart and release their alpha oils. And we'll bring that down to a simmer now and let it go for another 40-50 minutes. Okay, it's 10 minutes to go for the 60-minute boil. I'm just going to add the wort tablet, and usually it fizzes when it goes in, which it is. It's like a little Alka-Seltzer, which is that one just over there. He wants to get out of the road. And he fizzes and bubbles around. And all that does, as I said, is collect all the dead yeast and bits and pieces of extra grain or whatever that's left over, the leftover of the hops, and drops it to the bottom. Alright, we're just about there. I'm just going to add now the 4 grams of yeast nutrient, which will help the yeast start up when it's actually put into the fermenter, which is right there waiting. Must say, before I started all this, naturally I went through and made certain that all my equipment was completely washed. Everything was sanitized well. Here's my sanitizer. You can buy the new ProSan. Is now out in our stores, and that's what all the big companies use. It's one of the most cost-effective and most effective ways of sanitizing all your equipment, the new ProSan. Okay, that's nearly finished, and once this is finished, I will, for the 10 minutes, I will then put it into a sink full of cold water, just to make certain it cools it down really, really fast, because I've got to get it down to around about 20 degrees to add the yeast. Okay, it's now been the 10 minutes and the wort, and all I'm doing now is I'm going to stick this into the sink full of cold water just to help cool it down fast. Right, a little cheap way here, I added a bit of ice to the water before I did this. So okay, well, the bit of wort down there has chilled down sufficiently to be able to put it into the fermenter. It is still rather warm, so just be careful. And it smells lovely. Okay, we've put that in. Now you put in the rest of the fresh wort. And a little trick, if you hold it to the side, it doesn't glug. Okay, that's that. Now I'm going to top it up with chilled water and normal water to reach a starting temperature of around about 20 to 22 degrees. And currently that's sitting on 32 to 34. So I'll just get some chilled water out of the fridge, which I did last night. You always have 5 to 10 litres of chilled water so you can bring the temperature right down. But just over the 20 litres mark, which is what I wanted. And it's down around about the right temperature. Now, before I add the yeast, I'm going to take a hydrometer reading. I don't use a hydrometer, I use a refractometer, which is very, very simple to use. And all you need is 1 drop of beer. Which is 1 drop of beer on your refractometer. You close it up and you just take your reading, just like normal. Okay, right, it's around about 18 on the brick scale, or 1.075. 1.075 or 18 on bricks. So I'll just write that down somewhere. 0.075. Rightio. Now I'm going to add the yeast. I'm going to then close everything up, seal everything, and ferment it out as close as possible to 22 degrees. Now some recipes say sprinkle lightly on the top. I always like to make certain that my yeast is hydrated, so I usually always give it a stir. It also aerates the wort so that you've got a lot of oxygen in there for the yeast when it rehydrates to actually start eating. And that is the Belgian Dubbel done. Now seal up. And a little trick, you put a little bit of water on your seal, right, because I've already had this sanitised, it actually goes on a lot easier. Use your airlock. I always use sanitizer and fill it up with some sanitizer. So it's 50-50. And you know when you seal, when it's fully sealed, because you'll end up with two levels. If it wasn't sealed, it would come back to dead even. So I know that that is sealed well. And now we'll just put it in the fridge, and unfortunately now we've got to wait for 7 to 10 days. And that's how easy it is to do a Belgian Dubbel. Thank you.